Hello, welcome to Iggy's Toy Parade and Soldier Review. This is your host, Iggy. Yay. Hi, guys, welcome back. Today we're going to look at some Soviet soldiers and T-34 tanks. The soldiers are provided by BMC, and they're based on old Marx soldiers that were introduced by Marx in the 1960s. I don't think they sold these in England, though, because Europeans had a funny feeling about Russian soldiers, so they probably didn't sell many of those over there at the time in the 1960s. You can see here that circle? That's where it used to say Marx, and of course, when they reproduce them, they grinded that off so that it wouldn't show up in the mold any longer. Well, BMC has released these, and let's take a look at the packaging for you real quick. You get 6 different poses and 36 pieces, 1/32 scale. These particular soldiers are made in the United States. Let's take a look at them one by one and see what you think of them. Let me adjust my chair here. I'm sitting at the kitchen table. Okay, so we have what appears to be a commissar or a political officer. He's got a peaked cap. He's wearing that distinctive blouse-like tunic, which is like a pullover. And they would cinch it at the waist with a belt like that. I like this pose. I suppose you could probably customize this and make him a German officer. I'm not that good at stuff like that, so I'm not going to do that. Then we have a fella, poor guy, is apparently been shot. He's not doing too well here. Either that or he's dancing. Hi, everyone. Let's tiptoe through the tulips. Anyway, he's been shot, so he's not feeling so good. Stop in the name of love. Okay, stop that. Iggy, what did we say about that? Yeah, I know. Then we have a fella clubbing his rifle. He's wearing a Lushanka. Is that what they call the distinctive Soviet cap? And he's holding a Mosin Nagant 9130 rifle. You'll notice that none of them are wearing the quilted winter uniform or overcoats. So these would all be summer poses. And this fella here, he's also wearing a Lushanka. Only 2 of the 6 poses are wearing the steel pot, and the others are wearing the Lushanka, or a peaked cap, as you see on the commissar. And he's got the famous PPSH 41 with the drum magazine. The drum magazine held a staggering 71 rounds, but it was unreliable. It kept jamming, so they replaced it with a box magazine. And then in 1944, they reintroduced a more efficient drum magazine. I wouldn't mind owning one of those. Those would be pretty cool. But 71 rounds would really give you some firepower. Then we have a fella here, rifleman, and he's wearing the steel pod. You'll notice it looks similar to an Italian helmet. And there's other helmets that share that distinction, like the Swedish helmet looks similar to a Japanese helmet. And there's some unscrupulous people on eBay who convert Swedish helmets into Japanese helmets and sell them as original. But you can see it's similar to the Italian, not quite exact though. If you put them side by side, you would notice the differences, but they're very similar at first blush. This is my favorite pose, of course, but here's a complaint I have. There's only 4 of them that you can see here. Now, you're in this set, you're getting 36 figures and only 4 of them are riflemen. And only 4 are the shot soldiers and 4 the officer. My least favorite pose is the one that you seem to get quite a bit of, and that's this one here, and you get 8 of them. And I really don't care for this pose that much, compared to the other poses anyway. So why do you get 8 of those? You also will get 8 of the fella throwing the hand grenade. Looks like he's holding an M24. I don't know. What do I know? So there's the 6 poses. Now the tanks are made by Classic Toy Soldiers, and it's of a T-34, and it comes with 2 different turrets, so you have your choice of doing the earlier war T-34 with the 76.2 millimeter gun, or the long-barreled gun of the T-34-85, which was introduced by the Soviets in, I believe, 1944. The Russians produced over 80,000, I think it's something like 84,000 of these tanks during the war. They lost a considerable amount of them to the Germans, but it doesn't matter if you lose, let's say you lose 13 tanks. Well, that doesn't really hurt you if you have another 50 tanks. The reason I mentioned 13 is my landlord told me this story of when he was on the Eastern Front, and there was a guy in his company that was a farm boy from Silesia. I'm not sure how you pronounce it. And he destroyed 13 T-34s. And everyone was celebrating that night. And then the next day, the Soviets came back with 3 times as many tanks. You can imagine what effect that must have had on German morale to see that. My landlord also mentioned to me in a quite bitter tone, he said, "Why did you Americans give them Sherman tanks?" And I said, "What are you talking about?" He said that they fought a lot of Sherman tanks on the Eastern Front. And I do know that the Americans provided a lot of Jeeps and half-tracks, but I didn't know that they provided them tanks as well. I knew that we provide them to the Free French and to the English. The anti-fascists in Italy, I'm not sure if they got them, but I wouldn't be surprised. But apparently Russians got them too, according to my landlord. Now in the background is a picture of Berlin after it fell. And there's a bunch of Russian dudes looking at the devastation. This is the Brandenburg Gate. Looking pretty bad as a result of all the bombardment. I think the last time that the Germans experienced foreigners in their capital was when Napoleon defeated the Prussians. And I think at that time there was French troops in Berlin. When the Germans first encountered these T-34s, they were pretty stunned. If not for their ubiquitous 88, they probably would have not been able to cope with them very well. The Soviets perfected the T-34 because of their experiences in Manchuria against the Imperial Japanese. And one thing the Russians experienced was that tanks that were riveted, when a round would hit the exterior of the tank, it may not penetrate, but it would make the rivets shoot through the interior and ricochet all over, and of course killing the crew or seriously wounding the crew. And also, Japanese anti-tank teams would throw Molotov cocktails, and the burning gasoline would go into all those different seams on the tank and cause havoc that way also. So even though their tanks could perform well against the Japanese tank, which was also a riveted style tank, similar to the Italian tank, it was an outdated technology. The Japanese, early Soviet, and Italian tanks were about 10 years behind the eventual Russian, not Russian, but the German designs. Well, actually, Russian too, because this predates the Panther tank and inspired the Panther tank. And it's a very hardy tank. It's still being used to this day. I was watching the news and on YouTube, and I saw a T-34 tank. And I'm like, wow, they're really pulling everything out of the mothballs. But these, of course, were utilized by the Warsaw Pact. They were manufactured, I think, in Poland and Czechoslovakia. Okay, guys, that's all I've got for you for the BMC Russian soldiers. I think you can get a package of these of 36 figures in 6 different poses for about $16.95, $17, something to that effect. And you can get these CTS tanks from Classic Toy Soldier, or you can purchase them also from BMC. I think BMC must have some relationship with Classic Toy Soldier now, because that's where I got these 2 tanks from. And they come with the Soviet star. On the T-34-85, it's a little bit to the forward, and on the T-34, they have it on the back side there. You'll notice the turret's much smaller on the T-34 as compared to the T-34-85 tank. By the way, this hatch opens. See if I can open this up for you. Let's see if I can. Oh, shiza. Yeah, you can see how easily it opened. I just killed about 50 Russians here. Well, this one opens. Okay. I guess I just killed some more Russians. I better say goodbye to you guys before I knock all these guys over. Oh, heck. Let's just knock them over. remember when you were a kid, you would set up all your figures and you'd sit there admiring them, and then you'd go like this and knock them all over and then put them away. You had to put them away because if your mom stepped on one, she would throw them out. So we learned the lesson the hard way, didn't we? All right, guys, that's all I've got for you this time. I want to thank you for coming along for another adventure on Iggy's. I almost forgot who I am. Iggy's Toy Parade and Soldier Review. This is your host, Iggy, saying thank you, guys, and I'll see you again soon in another new video, so stay tuned. And why not hit a like button, leave a comment, or subscribe? It doesn't cost anything to do that, although we will send a squad of soldiers over to your house and knock your front door in, take your family away in trucks in the middle of the night, and you'll never see them again if you don't subscribe. So make sure you do, okay? All right, guys, that's it for this time. I think I'm going to go get a popsicle or something. Bye. Oh, dos vidania.